We'll talk about two guys who have gotten a lot of results at their respective levels. The first one, right here from Johns Hopkins University, Luke Schuerman. Look at where he's ending up, Trev.
I just find that insane.
From playing defensive line at Division III Johns Hopkins, he has just committed to go play for the Bears, the Golden Bears, I do believe, correct?
Technically, yes.
At UCLA, man. That's incredible
Wait,
stuff.
UCLA? No, they're the Bruins.
The Bruins, sorry. I'm off.
Oh, that's Cal, I'm pretty sure. Cool.
Yep, you're right. So that's
hopefully
a bad
no
mix-up.
UCLA fans are listening.
But either way, man, to go and to be able to make this jump as a guy we talked about in the trenches, right? This is really impressive and something that I think a lot of people were surprised by. Again, I don't think many people were surprised by his announcement maybe to jump in the portal after a lot of the accolades that he's gained. And you talk about some of the stuff on that list. This guy was a finalist for the William V. Campbell Trophy, which is college football's award that annually recognizes it's an individual, that has the absolute best in the nation for combined academic success, football performance, and exemplary leadership. So basically, you're just an all-American dude.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of guy that Luke is apparently.
It'd be interesting to see, like, when he entered the portal, I wonder if, like, what he expected, like, you would think coming from D3, did he expect to get Power 5 offers? Like,
I'd love to. We should get him on here. I would
be
love
awesome.
to ask that question.
Because, like, I don't know. And you're coming from a D3. Granted, he was coming from a good D3, but it's still Division III football.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know. You might think, okay, go up D2 or maybe FCS or even like a group of 5 school, but like he's going to a Big Ten school now.
I would say, yeah, Big Ten. That sounds weird, but you're right. It sounds weird. And what might actually be even more interesting is to speak to the position coach or the recruiting coach that brought him on. One, how the hell did you find this dude?
Yeah.
Right? Is this somebody that over the year you get a tip from some kind of connection or some type of scout or something that, hey, this guy.
I mean, there's got to be a connection somehow.
There has to.
You
don't just randomly fall upon a Blue Jay at Johns Hopkins. I don't think.
You wouldn't think. Yeah. There's got to be some sort of connection.
Man, that would be very interesting, though, to see, one, how do you come across a guy like this? And then two, how critical is the evaluation? Because obviously the disparity in talent that you're playing at UCLA compared to Johns Hopkins.
I mean, if they're offering him, he's got to be a dog.
Oh, no question. I'm not bringing that into question at all.
It must be like, I have never seen this film, but it must be like he looks like a man amongst boys.
I was about to say that, bro. Man amongst boys. That's exactly what I was going to say. And looking at his stats, I can at least tell you a little bit. He's listed at 6'4", 255. He's a senior. So
that's good size. I mean,
it's a good frame. Nothing ridiculous that jumps out at you, but again, he was at D3. So you kind of get why.
I mean,
right?
that's big for D3.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
and a guy that can move too. Like this is not a lumbering. Like he's incredibly athletic from what I've seen of him. And you look at he's got a good frame. And looking at the stats from these last couple of years here, and 2023 in particular, he had 55 tackles, 15.5 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks. So certainly had production. It wasn't anything record-breaking kind of
but
deal.
I'm sure. I mean, if he's been good for a couple of years, I'm sure like he's getting double teamed on every.
Oh, absolutely.
He's getting a tight end chipping off of him. He's getting running back and a tackle just designated to him.
So that just talking about that, right? Because you would assume that the year prior to this was a very productive one. People kind of understand. Yeah, last year 26.5 tackles for loss and 14 sacks.
Yeah, exactly.
And this year they're like, we fucking know who you are, buddy.
Yeah.
You're
and
getting triple team.
Yeah, he's still at 10 sacks. 9.5, but that's 10 sacks.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's wild. He's also got a couple pass deflections, 5 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery in his career. He's accumulated almost 200 tackles for the Blue Jays over there. And yeah,
I mean, that's legit.
The season before, you're right, is definitely that's the bar of, hey, you did this last year. We know exactly what's coming. You still can't stop it. It's legit.
And when you have to game plan for a D lineman offensively, that's
a problem.
That's usually a problem. I mean,
someone who's that disruptive, you have to go out of your way to kind of maneuver around or center your scheme. That's bad. That's bad news bears. But when you have a guy like Zach Greenberg on your offensive line, these two played this year. If you remember, the miracle at Muhlenberg, I don't know if that rings a bell. The last second field goal from Johns Hopkins that was batted and ran into the end zone. These two played against each other and now are going to play Division I football. And I don't think they'll play each other per se, but here you have it, man. Zach Greenberg, he's going from Muhlenberg to the University of North Carolina.
That's sweet.
The Tar Heels, man.
That's really sweet.
That was what is really cool.
Do you
to
think
me.
these guys just picked like where they wanted to commit based on the color scheme because they both were they did a great job.
Muhlenberg is red and gray, red and black.
Yeah.
Johns Hopkins though has very similar like the.
But
blue
like these guys, like UCLA has great colors, and then
Yeah.
UNC is just.
Agreed.
I mean, they have the best color
Question
scheme.
number one for him. But what's really cool about this is that unless they're barring some kind of injury or something that week, these two actually played against each other.
Yeah.
And so just imagine from a recruiting perspective and saying like, when they evaluate this guy, because obviously both these coaches at their respective schools are going through and watching just about every snap these guys have played at this level. You had to think somewhere in there like, who's this guy? He's going,
Yeah.
What's up
Exactly.
with this? Yeah, this kid's legit. You know what I mean? So how does that feed into it? And I know a lot of kids use that as a little bit of a bump in recruiting to say, hey, this should be the first clip in your film if you know it's a dude that's going to go play Power 5. Like,
Exactly.
that's showing that you belong there too. I wonder how much of that played into the process. These commitments came pretty close next to each other. See, this one was announced on January 15th. As far as Greenberg goes, he's a grad transfer, has 2 years of eligibility left, which is big time for him.
That's big, especially. No, it's big for UNC.
It is. That's true. No, that's very true. And a couple of his other offers included ECU, Troy, UConn, some other FBS schools, but I don't believe he really started receiving Power 5 attention until UNC showed interest, which is interesting because, again, you get this attention from these group of 5 squads. That's all well and good. It really takes something more for one of these teams to take a look at you and then to follow up with you and eventually put that offer on the table. So, again, I'd love to speak to both sides about this, about what this recruiting process was like. And like you said, did you fucking expect this? Like, was this real?
That's what I would want to know. Like going in, did you think like it's gonna be Power 5 offers? And I don't know. Do you know what his size is? Like,
yeah. So he's listed at 6'4", 290.
Okay, so he's right at that.
Yep. It's got kind of the same. I think the same, but like, it's not
anything.
The numbers don't jump at
6'4" is. I mean,
for D1, that's
below average.
It is actually below average. Yeah,
that's
6'4",
about
290.
Because 6'4", 290 is about average for D2 football, I would say.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
So again, he's got to just be a dog to like
Absolutely.
be getting these offers.
Yes. So I mean, obviously he was an all-conference, also an all-region selection this past year. Also on the academic honor roll.
Way to go! Way to go!
Good shit, Zach.
Academic weapon.
Student athlete. But yeah, I mean, a lot of things have he's done his work, and it's hard to evaluate offensive linemen. I got the stats page pulled up here. Would you like to know what the stats say about him?
I mean, he's an offensive lineman because
there's no stats. So
that's a good thing though.
Yeah, that's it. You're right. If it's like offensive linemen are like referees. If you know who they are, it's not a good thing.
Exactly.
You like them, they're just the guys doing their job.
Yeah. you either know offensive linemen when they're like at the top level, like the elite, like the 5 All-Pro offensive linemen in the NFL,
or the worst.
Or they're the worst, like the one guy for the Chiefs that always jumps off sides. Everyone knows his name, Taylor.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, but again, just going back to overall, man, like this is really cool to see these D3 guys get these opportunities, get these chances, and it will be interesting to see, one, how they perform at the next level. Obviously, we'll be following these guys intently because I'm excited to see what kind of impact they make. And two, if this happens with more guys, this becomes more prevalent because right now, man, there are so many players leaving and entering different schools that, a lot of these places are trying to figure out how they get an edge. And bringing in a guy from Division III, a Division II, an NAIA squad, these guys aren't going to take shit for granted. They're going to be there to work their ass off and to live out a dream for themselves.
Yeah, they're just like blessed for the opportunity. Like they're like so honored to even be there. Like,
and you look at a guy like Connor Neer is a great example. Last year, went to go play for Oklahoma after winning a national championship with Ferris State, and someone who, for him, didn't play a ton of meaningful snaps. They returned one of the best tacklers in the Big 12, I believe one of the leaders in the conference. But they added Neer because as a graduate transfer, whether it's D3, D2, NAI, wherever, he's bringing 4 years of football experience.
Exactly.
This is a very similar case here with Greenberg, who did miss one season due to a season-ending injury, He's played a lot of football, a lot of meaningful football in the playoffs as well. And when you bring that kind of experience to any kind of locker room in that position group, this could certainly be a case. I don't have it in front of me, but Think about it, maybe an offensive line group that is just very young. And
I was just going to get to that point. Think about, kind of goes back to the whole transfer portal. As a coach, think about this. When you're at like the highest level of football for college, like you're at UNC, they're trying to make the playoffs, they're trying to win a national championship. Do you want to have a young player travel that's never played any meaningful snaps? Or if you can bring in a guy like that that's played for 4 years of college football, wouldn't you rather have that? And
that's the whole allure of the transfer portal, right?
Yeah, and then you have arguments for both. Is it better to develop your own player? I mean, there's going to be arguments, but it's kind of an interesting thing to talk about. And then you bring in another like guy that could be a potential leader.
Yes.
How much impact can he have on the younger kids or the younger players to become better linemen themselves?
That's where I see it more, is the off the field and in the locker room mentorship and just being around the guys like this, is that even if you do have a very talented young class, and I think that's why I brought up the Connor Neer situation.
Right.
A dude that, that leading tackler that they brought back in the Big 12 was like a freshman or sophomore.
Uh-huh.
And the other linebackers in that room, that core of linebackers, all underclassmen.
Yeah.
So bringing in a guy with all that experience, like I said, Connor didn't play a ton of snaps at Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. Like, not saying anything bad about Connor. Like, I played against him. He's a great football player.
Yeah, he's a stud.
But some of those guys might be more talented than him physically.
Exactly.
But he has the playing experience that he can give them advice and explain how he would do things and help them.
His ceiling isn't necessarily as high as some of these other players because they're naturally potentially a little more gifted out of high school.
But a guy like that, it's like having another coach almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of that thing. It's kind of that thing when like you sign a backup quarterback that's like old and can't play football anymore, but like, okay, I'll give an example. Teddy Bridgewater, he hasn't played a snap all year. Like he has no, he already said he's retiring after the year.
He did say that? I didn't know that.
He already said, he's like, I'm retiring.
Or you bring in the salty vet, Joe Flacco.
Well, yeah, that happens too.
Hey, and then the old dog learns a couple new tricks.
True.
He's learned a lot of them.
Or you got
he was sitting and shaking. Now he's rolling over.
Or you got a guy like Chase Daniels that has never played but has made like $40 million.
Journeyman.
Living the dream is what he's doing.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I mean, what could be better than that?
But before we get into talking about some small school products landing on UFL rosters, we'll cut to the conversation with Mike Snyder, the athletic director. That was a tough one. From Pacific Lutheran, talking about their deal with Open Doors and landing their athletes some NIL deals.